I'm Craig Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different, and every breakup is different. Work with me, and you'll get professional help on your situation. Just click on the link in the description below, or go to my website, askcraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
I'm Coach Margaret.
And today we're going to be talking about narcissistic abuse.
Yes.
Well, there's a reason we're going to be talking about this today, and it's because there is a huge interest in understanding this.
Yes, there is. And it seems to me that it's going to totally revolutionize our approach to domestic violence. But it's a big topic and a long topic, and we're going to do it in two shorter segments. I'm going to talk again a little bit about narcissism in general, and then I'm going to move on in the next video to what the specifics of narcissistic abuse really look like. And they're scary.
Yes.
They really are.
So, maybe we should explain what is narcissism.
That's what I'm going to do.
Okay.
Okay. Now, there is a thing called narcissistic personality disorder. It's not a mental illness, it's a series of traits that we develop and carry with us throughout life. Borderline is also a personality disorder. It's a way we learn to behave that isn't adaptive and eventually gets in our way. But because it feels like it's part of our being, because we've had these characteristics for so long, they're hard to change. Not impossible, but very difficult.
And narcissism develops in very early life.
Very early life. And I assume you remember the story about Narcissus, but I'll tell it again anyway. Narcissus was a little fella in a Greek myth, and he was a gorgeous young man. And he drowned one day because he got so fascinated at looking at his reflection in the water. And you know, you have to remember they did not have mirrors back then. Glass wasn't invented for many years, so there were very few ways to see yourself. So poor Narcissus fell into the water from admiring himself and drowned. I'm sorry, it's not a better ending. Okay. Narcissists have only one subject. What do you think that is?
I don't know. Me?
Yes. Yeah, you.
Hopefully me?
Yeah. It's all about Craig. All about Craig. Yeah, they really only have one subject, and that's themselves. And there used to be a wonderfully funny ad-on.
And the reason that they're only focused on themselves is because they never learn to attach.
That's right.
They never even attached to their mom when they were an infant.
That's the issue.
And because they didn't learn to bond and learn about other people, they don't ever care about other people.
Or see them as necessary. Because when they would look for mom to, relieve their stress and anxiety, because babies have it, they get hungry, they get wet. When they would look for mom, mom wouldn't be there. So at a very, very early age, the narcissist realizes that he is totally on his own. And although narcissists want relationships, it does not go well for them. And they have a terrible feeling that they're on their own. And the definition of shame is feeling that you're little, alone, and unlovable. Okay, that's what makes us feel ashamed as human beings, that even our own mothers don't love us.
Yeah.
Okay?
And that's a pretty terrible feeling to have for a human being.
It's so terrible that the whole narcissistic picture of someone is designed to keep them ever from having to look at that. In other words, the more little and unlovable they feel, the more loud and blustery and demanding of admiration they are.
So they constantly distort reality.
Yes.
So they avoid shame.
Right, exactly.
And this is their entire world.
Right.
Always.
Always. And it's difficult often to be all that sympathetic with them because they don't have exactly attractive symptoms. However, if we're going to treat them at all, what we have to understand is that it's not their fault, and this is a normal reaction to what happened to them. When you reach out and mom isn't there, you give up pretty easily. Okay? And so that's what happens. And so these people are really the opposite of everything they're telling you. I'm brilliant, I'm wonderful, I deserve everything in the world just because I'm me, wonderful me. Yeah. Okay. So I'm just briefly going to read you the criteria to diagnose someone as having narcissistic personality disorder.
Okay.
They're not exactly attractive. Exaggeration of one's own importance. I'm very important.
Yes.
Yes, I have the paper in my hand, so I'm very
important.
Yes. And so are you.
Yes, we are the most important.
People are always preoccupied with fantasies of success, power, beauty, intelligence, or ideal romance.
So they exaggerate.
Yes.
And they exaggerate to other people.
Their own importance and wonderfulness. Yes.
They might lie about their career, how much money they've made.
Yeah. How much power they have, how smart they are. And then there's always Don Juan, okay, who exaggerated his romantic prowess, okay? They believe that they are special and can only be understood by other special people or institutions. I had to go to school for years to learn about Craig. Yeah. They require constant attention and admiration from others. Well, what do you think they do? They have a temper tantrum of one sort or another. There are little kid temper tantrums. There are also big kid temper tantrums. We've all seen them. Okay? They have unreasonable expectations of favorable treatment. If I walk into the restaurant, I should be seated immediately, just because I'm me. They take advantage of others to reach their goals without any concern for the needs of the other. And that's unfortunately the hallmark of the narcissist. That even though they have the same urges that we all have to want to have relationships, they really have terrible difficulty doing it in any kind of a genuine way.
So you could imagine being any kind of a relationship with somebody like this. Distorting reality, they only focus on themselves. You know, they lie. They lie to you where they're at, what they're doing, what's going on. And they try to make you feel like you're crazy, to cover for themselves and what they're doing. So it's enough to make people crazy. And when we get down to, in a little while, when we get down to the symptoms it can do to the victim, it's very, very destructive. Okay, they disregard the feelings of others. They have little empathy. If you ask a narcissist, how does he think somebody else feels, he looks at you kind of blankly, like, how would I know and why do you care? Wow.
The only thing they can respond to, and they can respond to that, is, would you want someone to do this to you? And there may be a pause, but eventually they can answer that one. No, I wouldn't want. Okay, so at least we have a basic sense of fairness. And it
takes a while to get there with them, right?
Yes, it does. They don't get it quick. And it shows arrogant. They show arrogant behavior in most situations. So you don't get a picture of somebody you want to get to know right away. Or
ever.
Yeah. However, they can appear incredibly charming. Hard to believe, but they can appear to be incredibly charming.
I think you can see it in a lot of celebrities and sometimes athletes too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And if you listen carefully, you realize that after the first few minutes, there really is only one subject. Okay? And I think we covered the early attachment business and the shame.
Around what month is the struggle where they don't attach to the mother?
It's really very early.
Because infants don't really attach till about 3 months old, right?
And that's early. They don't.
Yeah.
They don't really attach fully until about age 3 or 4. But they attach by degrees. You know, from the time the baby first smiles on.
Yeah.
And the narcissistic baby, I don't think, has a whole lot of reason to smile because they're not used to being attended to regularly. They never have a sense that their needs have been met. And so they end up having to focus on themselves because they feel alone in the world. And they're all they have. I mean, they almost, like the Narcissus analogy, they almost have to kind of fall in love with themselves because that's all that's there.
Yeah.
You know? And it's difficult to ask them to give that up because it's all they've ever had. Some can, and there are some notable therapists out there who have managed to be helpful. And one of the things they say is if a narcissist will turn up in therapy, not because they get arrested or anything like that, they're too focused on themselves, but they'll turn up in therapy because they have an incredible depression when, for some reason, in spite of all their defenses, they do realize that their view of themselves and the world's view of them does not match.
And it would take a lot of feedback to get through to them.
I mean, the world would have to crash around them. And then what you can say to them is, if you can get anywhere at all, is to say, well, you have spent your entire life proving that you're not a helpless infant and you're powerful, and that you're not unempathic, but that you're really charming. But wouldn't it be a relief to admit that you're a human being who makes mistakes and be okay with that?
Yeah.
It's a terrible burden to have to show the world that you're perfect and wonderful all of the time. Because it's not a terribly responsive world. And yet, as you'll see in a little while, narcissists manage to be quite successful in any number of circumstances by doing what they do.
Sure. Well, they might beat everybody up to get to the top.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Lie about them, they'll sabotage other people.
Absolutely, they'll sabotage other people, they'll spread gossip about other people, etc., etc. So whole concept of narcissistic abuse is a new concept. I've been in the field for many, many years. And when I was researching for this, I read some of the most modern stuff that's been said by the psychiatrists who study these things. And thinking to myself, how did we get from stodgy psychiatrists to the reality of what in many cases looks like domestic violence? And my theory would be that it was the self-help domestic violence movement that moved us in this direction. And that's a good thing. And I'm very happy to see the two approaches coming back together here. Okay? So, to be continued.
Really important to understand that narcissistic abuse is a lot more common than you would think.
Absolutely.
And you might start to evaluate your relationship and realize there may have been abuse going on in your own relationship.
Yes.
And you didn't even really look at it before, but you want to take a deeper look at it, and you want to look at it more closely to see if that may have happened to you in this relationship or in other relationships.
Yes.
Because if you don't start to realize the pattern, you might wind up going back with somebody who is abusive.
Abusive to you.
Or the next person could be abusive as well.
And it happens all the time. It happens all the time because these folks are such skilled manipulators.
So think about the symptoms that we went through and a lot of the criteria that we looked at in this video, and maybe evaluate your situation and...
Or people you know.
Yeah. Bosses sometimes?
Oh, absolutely bosses sometimes. I think I've had two. I already did that.
So, it's important to think about this for yourself because narcissism is real and it's a lot more common, and it seems like it's becoming more and more common.
Yeah. The other thing that's extremely interesting, when I did the research for this, what I found out was that, we have a fairly new diagnostic and statistical manual of mental disorders. Sorry, that's such a handful. And we have a fairly new one out called the DSM-5. And it has in it narcissistic personality disorder. However, there's also an international classification of disorders, and they do not have narcissists listed, which somehow leads people to believe that this is an American phenomenon, which I don't believe because I think its origins are unfortunately all too common. But I just thought it was
Didn't
interesting.
Didn't it start with the Greeks?
Yeah, right. Narcissus was a Greek. But anyway, I just thought that was interesting that no one else is diagnosing anybody with narcissistic abuse or narcissistic personality disorder.
Interesting.
So I don't know what you do in Britain, say, if it's all about you.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll talk to some people from around the world that'll tell us.
I'm sure I hope we will. Yes.
All right. So if you want to get our help personally, just go to our website, askcraig.net, sign up for the coaching option that works best for you. I do email coaching or Skype coaching. If you got to get with me right away, I do offer emergency Skype coaching. Margaret is also doing Skype coaching now.
And enjoying it a lot, so feel free.
Yeah, sign up with her. Just click on Margaret on the top of my website. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
I'm Coach Margaret.
And we will talk with you soon.
Hi, I'm Coach Margaret, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist with 35 years experience. Every relationship is different and every breakup is different. Work with me to get professional help on your situation. Go to askcraig.net to sign up for a personal coaching with me.